It wasn't that long ago that used car prices were on the rise, and it was really hard to find a good deal out there on the used car market. But those days have come and gone, and we are here to give you the real world data of, first of all, what these cars sell for new at MSRP, and a little peek behind the curtain as to what they're selling for at dealer auctions.
Exactly. This is going to give us an indication of how these cars are depreciating over their first couple years and first few thousand miles, so that we can see, well, really how the market is changing and whether it's worth you going out there and buying a brand new car, or if you should find a nearly new car that's a couple years old and potentially save yourself some money. So should we start out with the first on our list?
Yeah. So first off, we have the Toyota Highlander, and we are specifically focusing on the Highlander Platinum. Now, new right now, this car has an MSRP of $49,575, but there was one that just went across the auction block. Granted, this is a 2020 with about 53,000 miles on it. And so here's the thing, we've got two pieces of data here with this auction. So we have the MMR, which is Manheim Market Report. And what that does is gives us an aggregate number of what these cars are selling for at auction across the country on an average. And then we have the actual sale price of this specific vehicle here to our local market in Denver.
Exactly. So new, this car was just under $50,000. However, this one that's a couple years old and has 53,000 miles is selling for an average of about $33,000. But at this particular auction, this one sold for $30,250.
If you are comparing it to the MMR number, you are seeing about a 33% discount off of the price of that car. And as many of you know, a Toyota with 53,000 miles on it still has plenty of life in it. And if you were to compare it based off of just what it sold last week, that is a 39% discount. And so a lot of people out there think that Toyotas are the best on the market as far as holding their value. And you can still see that even they are affected by this downturn.
Yeah, so this would be a situation where if you don't mind having something with some miles on it that's a couple years used, you could save yourself potentially quite a few $1,000s by getting one that is slightly used.
Absolutely. And so we've got a good mix of cars here. So let's go ahead and jump to the next one. And so we wanted to go with something that gets a lot of flack, at least right now on the market, for how much they're having to take off of the sticker price,
right,
going, at the current dealers. And so we're looking at a 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and this one specifically is the L, the long wheelbase, and it's got the Overland package. So it's kind of a pretty well apportioned or appointed Grand Cherokee. Now new, this is going for, or at least on sticker, it's going for $65,590, but it's a little different at auction.
Average auction price that we're seeing here is $33,800, and we recently actually found an auction of one that sold for $37,500. So this particular auction sold even higher than the national average. That being said, we are here in Colorado, where four-wheel drive vehicles do have a slight premium versus a lot of other parts of the country, and that could be influencing this difference in between this auction price and the MMR.
Yeah, especially anything that has an off-road pedigree, such as a Jeep, for example, right? Those tend to fetch a big premium here in Colorado because, well, we just have a lot of good off-roading that's possible to be able to do here. But even that being said, even if you take the price that it's sold for at auction, it's still a car with 26,000 miles. You're getting 43% off the sticker price.
Yeah.
With a car that's just a few years old and 26,000 miles, I mean, that's nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So that could potentially be a really good deal as well, just like the first car that we looked at, if you want to go out there and save a little bit of money. Now, next up on our list, we have a 2021 Hyundai Kona. This particular model is an SE all-wheel drive, and it's got about 55,000 miles, the one that we're going to look at on the auction. Now, it's worth noting that there is a new generation of the Hyundai Kona that's going to give you a lot of advantages over a slightly used one, which is worth a premium. If you want to get a new Kona SE, it's going to cost you about $24,100 plus an extra $1,500 for all-wheel drive. So $25,600 if you want to get a brand new all-wheel drive Kona SE.
But however, at auction, a 2021 with, like you said, 55,000 miles sold for only $13,750. So that just goes to show that even the lower end of the market, even kind of like an inexpensive entry-level car, which this is kind of base model with all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And it's a really small, inexpensive SUV. They are still seeing about a 46% decrease in price over a brand new one.
Yeah, and that auction price that we saw there is actually $1,000 less than the MMR, the average. So it depends, if you want something that's brand new and it's got all the newest features, then maybe you're happy to pay that premium. But this is a situation where if you're okay with the previous model, you could be paying a little over half the sticker of the equivalent brand new car.
Exactly. Well, let's take a look at something that is what I like to call barely used. So I found a 2023 Mercedes GLA 250 with the 4MATIC all-wheel drive system with only 3,500 miles on it. And so new, that car is about $39,500, but used, you're looking at $38,400 according to the national average. So that's really only a 3% savings off of a new one. So I think in this instance, it might actually make a little bit more sense to go new versus used.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not going to save that much money, then maybe you want to have the experience of getting yourself a brand new vehicle. And this particular one that we saw sell at the auction sold for $34,500, which is a 13% decrease from the sticker price. At which point, if there's not any deals at the Mercedes dealers local to you, if cars are going for around sticker price, then maybe getting a slightly used one would be worth saving a couple grand. It kind of depends on how much you want a brand new car.
Yeah, it just depends. I think most Mercedes owners or buyers are probably going to go towards that new car personally,
Yeah.
But let's take a look at something a little bit different. So we've got here a full-size SUV, American-made. This is the 2023 Chevy Tahoe. I found one with 19,000 miles. New, this one goes for about $66,695 on the MSRP.
The MMR is $59,000. This particular auction, one sold for $58,000. So again, that's a little over a 10% decrease. That's not a huge discount for something that's got 20,000 miles.
Yeah, keep in mind too, this is at a dealer auction, so the prices are going to be probably a little bit different what you're going to actually see out there on the market.
It's very true.
Yeah, so factoring that in, I don't know that it's enough of a break off the price to factor in or to actually want to go get a used one. Granted, you're still going to be in a new car warranty with that vehicle, but the price difference just doesn't seem to justify the means to me on that one.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at something that everybody wants, right? These are probably one of the most coveted vehicles right now out on the market.
Especially in Colorado.
Yeah, and that is the Toyota 4Runner, specifically the TRD off-road package, and it's got the premium package. So this is like pretty much fully loaded to the gills and all the off-road goodies. Now new, you're talking about a vehicle that's about $46,880. And you would think that these cars are going to retain their value. That is the mindset, right?
Oh, yeah.
That like a Tacoma or a 4Runner, those are the vehicles that are going to retain their value the most. Well, you'd be surprised at the price on this one.
Yeah, so the average on this one is $36,100, and at this particular auction, again, very likely because we're here in Colorado, the auction was $39,000 for this particular 4Runner because they're among the most popular vehicles you can find out here in Colorado.
So here's the thing that I learned with this one. So although it's only a $3,000 price difference between MMR and what this actually sold for, I think if you were to go and if you're living in Colorado or another area these are very desirable in, I would try and go source them where they're not as desirable. Say, Florida or something that's not looking at off-roaders as much. go and source them, and you could probably save a pretty good amount of money. I mean, we're talking here a $3,000 price difference between the local market here and what the national average is. So in some instances, it may make more sense to shop further away from your home to get a good deal. But it's, it has retained its value fairly well, but it's not the best at retaining its value that we've seen on this list.
Yeah, which is true. So it definitely challenges the assumption that a vehicle like this is going to be the absolute best at holding its value. But it is another one of those situations where you might be best off just getting one that is brand new, because
For sure.
You might not be saving that much money.
Let's throw in one extra one here, because another running question that we have is, do modifications add any value to your vehicle? And so right here, we're going to take an example of a 2021 Chevy Silverado. And this is the LT Trail Boss. So this has some off-road goodies from the factory. The one we're going to look at has 45,000 miles on it. So new, this would have stickered for about $65,475. And as you can see in the photo here, it has been very heavily modified.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, in Colorado, we like to call these bro trucks.
Yeah, bro-dozer.
Yeah, or bro-dozer, because the modifications are, I think, more cosmetic than they are functional.
Yeah, well, and it's the kind of thing where if you take a vehicle and you modify it, then you are making it specific to your taste. And there might be other people out there that share your taste in vehicles, but it's going to narrow the scope of people that are going to be interested in that vehicle. And so while this would be a $65,500 vehicle brand new, the MMR for it is $42,400 after this many years and this many miles. And at auction, this one sold for $42,750. So almost exactly the same as the MMR, which means it doesn't really appear that those modifications added any value at all.
Yeah, I mean, I would venture to say that the person spent thousands and thousands of dollars doing those modifications.
Oh, absolutely.
Because doing a lift like that and big wheels and those tires alone are probably
$1,000 in tires easily.
Probably $1,000, $1,500 in tires. Not to mention, I think it's got like modified exhaust and a different front bumper and a whole sort of different modifications that literally added $0 in value at a dealer auction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, this is just a little bit of a snapshot at the market today. I'd be curious to know what you guys think in the comments section below. Are there any vehicles that you want to know what the market data is really showing? And are there vehicles out there that you are shopping for that you are seeing some price drops or some prices go up that are different from what we are showing?
Absolutely. That's all for this video. Go to alltfl.com for everything else that we cover, and we'll see you all in the next.